Hello there, my name is Phil from Radio.co, of course, and you've joined me here today because I'm going to do something I used to do actually quite a lot a couple of years ago, and it's been a while since. I'm kind of going to do a mass demonstration on how best to use Radio.co. So usually how I like to roll is I invite you to visit our website, a link to that specifically, the specific page I'm going to talk about, radio.co/demo, and from there you can book a one-to-one conversation with me and we can talk about your radio station ideas, any questions, any concerns you have. But the main bulk of that call that we do is doing a demonstration of the Radio.co platform, showing you the basics. I mean, there's only so much I can kind of unveil to you within sort of 20-25 minutes. But the idea was just to give you a bit of a taster of what Radio.co is all about, because we do offer a free 7-day trial. And ideally, you want to come and join a demo with me so you can see how best to use it, so you can make the most of your free trial. Because, well, you can just immediately get started and begin broadcasting, going live, building your shows, and, gradually growing an audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing these a bit more often now, where still I would very, very much encourage you to book a personal one-on-one conversation with me. As I say, radio.co/demo is the way to book that. But for now, just to, as we come to the end of 2024, I thought I would invite everyone who wants to learn a bit more about Radio.co just to this one call, essentially, this one demonstration. Now, this is not live. This has been pre-recorded, but prior to the recording of this demo, I did send an email out to a good few thousand of you, just to get some questions if there were some initial things that you wanted to ask, whether you are yet to start a station, or you've recently started one and you just have a few questions you would like to ask me along the way. So I'll be answering a few of those questions at the end of this demonstration. But yes, the main bulk of this is to give you a bit of guidance on how best to get started using Radio.co. So I'm just going to cover the basics. I am going to point out a couple of our more advanced features, mainly because they are proper radio features, and I feel like if you really want to get the most out of our platform, particularly if you're subscribing to the Standard Plus or the Premium plans that we have, then I'm going to show you some of the features that are included in those plans so you can begin using them, things like voice tracking, or give you a bit of an idea on what live recording looks like, the advanced statistics we offer. So so I'm mainly going to focus on the basics of how you upload media, how you begin building shows, how you schedule shows, and as I say, along the way, pointing out a couple of other features that we offer, as well, of course, go through a couple of different ways that people can listen to your station. And then, as I say, after that, I'm going to go through some of the frequently asked questions and just some general questions you've asked me to answer today. And of course, if I don't answer any question that you submitted or questions that you have on your mind right now, then you can always send me them in an email whenever you like. You can reach me via studio@radio.co. Okay, so I fired up our Radio.co platform here, so what you should be able to see on my screen right away is the Radio.co dashboard. Of course, to get there, you need to initially set up your account if you haven't got one already. So Radio.co, we are entirely subscription-based. You can pay for us on a monthly basis or a yearly basis, and the idea behind the platform is that, once you subscribe to one of our 4 main plans, our Light, Standard, Plus, and Premium, you will have everything that you really need to get up and running. So the ability to build your shows and to actually broadcast live, to track your audiences, even things like building additional ways that people can listen, through mobile apps and the such. So what you do is you activate your free 7-day trial. It takes about a minute or two to fill in your details, and yes, you will be here. One point just to make is that we do require payment information up front, so you will need to enter that in order to create your account. But the reason we ask for that is because, well, we want to ensure that if you were to stick with us after the trial ends, there's no disruption to your station. Your trial will come to an end and you will just simply continue from where you are leaving off, without losing anything. So that's the reason. But as I say, once you've signed up, it takes about a minute or two and you will see this, the Radio.co dashboard, which is essentially kind of like a welcome screen. It's just showing you, how much storage is being used for your station at the moment, how much bandwidth you're using. Bandwidth is really data that's required for people to listen to your station. So essentially, the more people listen and the longer each person listens for, the more bandwidth gets used up. Another term that we use, which we'll see on our pricing structure, is total listening hours. How many hours a month can people listen to your station for? And as a spoiler, it's a huge amount. There's so much room for people to listen. How many concurrent listenership you have, which is here. So you can have a maximum of so many listening at any given second. But the most important thing really on here, aside from knowing what's playing at the moment, is this here, the on-air button I've got here on the top left. Now, Radio.co is a cloud-based solution. So what that means for you, first of all, is that nothing needs to be installed, downloaded for initial use. You just create an account, you log in, and that's it. There's no waiting for anything to upload, to download, to install, or anything. You just create an account from any computer, log in from any computer. As long as you have an internet connection, boom, your station is there. It also means it's being powered by us. It's being powered by our cloud servers. So as soon as you turn your station on air, as long as you have uploaded one file, the station is built to remain on air 24/7 and all over the world. So most of our broadcasters will just leave their stations on permanently 24/7, and there are easy ways to ensure that happens. But do know if you wanted to, you can turn your station on and off if you wish. But I say most people just leave it running because it's easy to do so. I'm not going to dwell on it too much because that will be saved for another video we may do in the future, just revisiting this idea. But this is live broadcasting. This is what the connection status refers to. Are you a host currently connected to the server so people can hear what you are saying and doing? At the moment, it's listed that I am not connected, which is correct. My station is on air, but it's playing an automated piece of music, a Bob Marley track in this example here specifically. But what this means is yes, I am not personally connected because, I don't need people to hear what I'm saying into this microphone right now. But do know if I wanted to, I could use all the audio that's going through this microphone, which is going into the Rodecaster Duo here. If that was plugged into my computer, I could broadcast this demonstration live if I wanted to. That's all that means. Are you connected? Can people hear what you're doing? So yeah, we do have a number of guides to show you how to do that. It's quite an easy thing to set up, but I'll save that for another video, or there will be links to our help center in the description of this video. And then here on the top right, this is where you're going to be going first, the Add Media button here. So if you want to upload media, this is where you go. You click Add Media, and as long as your files are in MP3 or AAC, so if you've ever bought anything off iTunes in the past, chances are it's in AAC. It's like Apple's version of an MP3, so it's, a slightly higher quality. But yeah, as long as it's MP3 or AAC, select them from your hard drive, from your computer location, or just drag them onto the screen, and they will then appear in your media library. Excuse me. And in your media library here is where you will see all of your content. And this is all cloud-based as well, so if you logged into your station from a completely brand new computer you've never used before, all your media is there. It's tied to your actual subscription. So yeah, everything is uploaded and listed all here, as you can see. And you'll also spot that a number of these tracks have got these coloured labels attached to them, like 90s rock, Northern Soul, new chart music, just to name a few. What those are called tags, and these are a great way, first of all, organising your media. I wouldn't say it's an absolute must-do, necessary thing for you to do, but it's definitely very, very helpful in the long run. Tagging is a way of you helping to categorise your media. So if you're uploading a lot of content from different genres, for example, say you've got a music station like what I've got here, and I'm uploading rock music, chart music, R&B, hip-hop, anything like that, it may be wise for me to tag that media so I know how many rock tracks I've got, how many R&B tracks I've got. And that's basically all tagging is. You're essentially creating a folder to store this media in. So if I was just to highlight these couple of tracks here on my screen there, and let's just say these are, for argument's sake, let's say these are, 70s classic rock, something like that. I could just type in 70s classic rock into the bar there. And I can click Create 70s Rock here. That will then create the tag, and then in order to attach them, I just press the plus button there, and that will then attach it to those tracks. And then what it will do is it will then essentially, as I say, create a folder, and it will tell me exactly how many tracks are associated with that category. So that's tagging media. So a great way of doing it is, again, it's organizing your media. It's very, very beneficial. But you can also use these tags to randomly shuffle your playlist as well. And it's very, very easy to do. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Just visiting the options across the top here. So recordings. Actually, that's a good point, actually, just to differentiate the sort of media you may have. Anything you upload, regardless of whether it's a piece of music, a podcast, a jingle, an ad, anything you upload is classed as a track, and it will then be stored in your tracks section. A recording is specifically anything that you have stored due to our live recording feature, which I'll go into more detail very shortly. But anything that you record within from that feature is stored here. Voice tracking, which I'm going to demonstrate again a little bit later, they're all stored there. And if you want to have a list of all your tags, they are all here as well. So every tag you create will be listed here, and it will obviously show you exactly how many tracks are associated with each one. Relays, that's a third variation of a show that you can schedule, which I'll explain a bit more when I get to that point. And we also have our news bulletin feature, which is in our Plus and our Premium plans. And this is basically a way for you to automate a top-of-hour news broadcast. Your top-of-hour news broadcast needs to be in an MP3 stream, kind of like what I've got here as an example. Sky News, using it purely for illustrative purposes. You must seek permission from these broadcasters to use that, or use an accredited site. But as long as it's an MP3 HTTPS stream, what that will do is you just tell the software how often you want that to play. And that stream, the trick with it is that stream is overwritten every hour by the provider. So this is just a way, very, very, very quickly explained, of a way of automating the top of our news. For a more in-depth instruction on how that works, as I say, our help center, help.radio.co, is a great place to get all our tutorial guides for whatever you may need. So that's a couple of media types, but you've uploaded your media, and you can then start building shows. And shows are all done through playlists, and you can actually build an infinite number of them, so go wild. You can make as many playlists as you like. Each one can be as long as you want, as short as you want. They can contain basically whatever you like. It's totally up to you. You just need to tell the software what you want to play and when, or what order. So I've got some very generic shows I've made here. I've got, as you can see, I've got a breakfast show, a Phil's Rock show, Phil's Mix, podcasts. But there is also a playlist here called the default, and it also has this default label attached to it. Now, this default playlist is actually a playlist you will have in your account when you create one yourself. It'll be there instantly. Your default playlist will be empty, but the reason why we give you this empty playlist is because this has actually been built to do a very, very important job. Going back to what I mentioned at the start of the demonstration, is that it's actually a lot easier to run a 24-hour radio station than you may initially think. This is the main reason for that. The default playlist has been designed to instantly start playing on your radio station anytime your station is on air, but you have nothing scheduled. So basically, just to summarize that, you have a 24-hour radio station and you don't need to schedule 24 hours of content every single day yourself. It's, that's quite a tough task to do. This, you could literally just put in any amount of random content in there. Music, talk, podcast, ads, jingles, whatever you like. Fill it with whatever you want, and this will instantly start playing and continuously playing anytime there is a gap in your schedule, basically helping you have a 24-hour radio stream. So just for context, I've put 79 tracks inside of mine, and it's a combination of all sorts. As I say, there is a lot of music in there, but there's also jingles, some ads, some voice tracks I've done. And if I jump ahead just for a moment to my schedule, you'll see the days of the week along here, Monday to Sunday. You've got the times down by the side. A perfect example of how this default playlist feature works is right here. Monday to Sunday, midnight till 6 a.m. every single day, my schedule is completely blank. During that time, my default playlist just automatically jumps in and takes over. It's filling in this 6-hour gap without me actually having to set it up. I don't need to instruct it to do that. It's been built to do that right away. As long as you add at least one MP3 file to that default playlist, it will automatically fill it in for you. It's a really intuitive, really, really good feature. And we have people that actually run their entire stations without having to schedule a single thing. They just fill their default playlist with whatever they want, and they turn the station on air, and that's it. They don't have to give it much thought because it's running in a way that they are happy with. Or what I've done here, I've got a few sporadic shows throughout the day, and the gaps are filled in. Or, again, we have people who create their own playlists, specific playlists, every hour of every day. There's so many different ways you can run your station. That's the beauty of internet radio. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. Manage this, program this, create this radio station in whichever way makes you feel more comfortable and happy, make it enjoyable. So jumping back to playlists, to build your own playlist, again, couldn't be simpler. You just first of all create, I click the create playlist button here on the right and just give it a name. So seeing it's Christmas, obviously I've got my Christmas jumper on it, it's approaching the end of the year. Let's get this ready for a, Phil's Christmas show. Very generic. I can add a bespoke colour to it. I'm just happy to stick with the blue. I can put some custom artwork there, a bit more of a specific title, but I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to click save, and what it will do is it will then create my playlist or my playlist builder, and you can see that my playlist, of course, is empty, and the duration of it is 0 because, of course, I've yet to add a single thing to it. So here, all you do is you will search for any specific tracks you've uploaded, or you can work your way down this list. Find whatever tracks you like, and you can either add it to the start or add it to the end. Or if you don't want it either place, you can always drag it and pop it in the middle. But that's how simple it can be to build a playlist. It's like building a playlist on anything, really. Just find specifically what you like, pop it in, like so. And with every track you add, you'll see that the duration is totaling up. So it's 38.5 minutes long, this specific playlist. And, change the order of things, drag them all around. Very, very simple. As I say, this playlist can be filled with anything you like. So if you have any ads or jingles or anecdotes you've recorded, literally build this playlist to make it sound like the radio show you want. It doesn't just have to be back-to-back music. It can, this can be a full 1 hour, 2 hour long radio show full of every little piece that you want. You're just piecing it together, deciding the order. All these tracks will nicely fade in and fade out of each other as well. They'll blend really nicely. You can actually set within your settings how long it takes for each track to crossfade into each other. But yeah, just on the surface, this seems like a pretty fine show I'd be happy with, and I could just click save. There are other things you can add into your playlist, so I already teased it before, the notion of using tags to randomly shuffle tracks. So all you can do is click on the tags tab here on the left, and you'll see all the tags that you've made currently. So these are, again, all ones I've made. So I can just click on 2010s hip-hop or 90s acoustic, why not? And what this will do is every time the software reaches that tag, that command in the running order, the software will pick a random track that hasn't played yet from that specific category. So say I had 20 tracks tagged as 2010s hip hop, it's going to pull a random one. But as I say, it will make sure it's going to play every track that hasn't played yet within that tag. So if I had 20 2010s hip hop tracks and I put the same tag in 20 times, each time it plays it is going to be a different one. But the 21st time it plays, it will then begin playing them a second time, and then a third time, and so forth. So use tags as much as you like. It's there just to help you sort of pad out your playlist. It's kind of like building clocks. So if you're used to using more industry standard bits of software, scheduling software, things like Selector, for example, it is one I used extensively in the past. You're basically building a clock, so you're going to say a day part. So, you say 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. I want a track from the A list, a B list, maybe 2010s rock, A list, 90s, 80s jingles, and you're just giving it prompts, categories for it to pick from. And this works in the exact same way. You're just telling the software what you want it to play. It's still following a very specific structure you've made, but it's just picking out the tracks randomly for you. And as I mentioned, you can build playlists that only contain tags if you really want to. So if I just delete these specific tracks here, what I could do is I could schedule this playlist to play for 2 hours. And for 2 hours, it will play a 2010s hip-hop track, 90s, then acoustic. It will then go back to the top, and it will play another, a different track, 90s, acoustic, and so forth, so forth. So, so you don't actually need to put much time and effort into building a specific playlist. If you want, you can put specialist music and let the software pick it out for you. recordings, as I mentioned already, this is the notion of scheduling one of your live broadcasts to record. I'll show you how you actually set that up when I begin scheduling a show. But do know when you do put that feature on, it will then be stored within the recording section of your account, and you'll have an MP3 file of that live show that you just completed. And if you want to repeat that, all you do is you take that file you want. So here's one from yesterday, in fact, the 5th of December. I can take that file and I can move it into my playlist. And that will then play that old recording as part of this broadcast. You can do your voice tracking. So voice tracking is one of my favourite features on the platform, especially because, I mean, there is, I guess, some scrutiny, some people are a bit prejudiced about using voice tracking, saying, oh, it's not proper radio, pre-recording your links, radio should be live. And yes, I guess live radio, there's nothing quite like the thrill of doing it, the ability to engage in a live, real-time sense with your audience. It's a very, very exciting kind of show to do, but not everyone wants to do it, or is prepared to do it, or likes doing it even. And voice tracking is a way where you can keep your personality, your character, and your passion, most importantly, rife throughout your radio station, and you're not having to have the pressure of doing it live. It's still very much real radio. You are still creating that relationship, that connection between your audience. It's just the fact that it's been pre-recorded. That's all. So the way you can do it's very, very simple. You just click the Add Voice Track button here in the top. All right, so I'll tell you what, let me zoom out a little bit. And what you do here is you just need to select what kind of microphone input you're using. It's going to recognize everything that's plugged into your computer at this time. Now, despite what this may look like, this microphone, this Rodecaster Duo, isn't actually plugged into my computer. We're kind of recording this audio onto the SD card. So when I click on these options, it's not actually there. So at the moment, I'm just going to rely on the very poor quality microphone that's built into my computer. So I'm going to click that, and when I click this record button here, what it's going to do is it's going to start counting backwards from 10 minutes, and it's actually recording everything that I'm saying into this, not into this microphone, it would do. It's actually recording everything into this microphone on my laptop. I can use this just to record a 20-second voice link to introduce a track that's coming up next. I can use this to read the news, talk about an event we're at. I could interview someone. You've basically got 10 minutes to play around with every time you click record. So even if I stop it now after 30 seconds, I've still got 10 minutes to use up again another time and again and again. This will basically just going to record everything really nicely for you in a really good quality, depending on obviously the input that you're using. And this just allows you to not have to worry about pressures, being nervous, being worried about actually even time constraints. A lot of people feel, well, I guess it's kind of like a common misconception. They believe that they have to be live as much as possible, and that's quite a tough task to do, particularly if you've got a very, very busy day-to-day life. This is a way where you could just do a live show once a week, but still have your voice very prominent, or your other DJ's voice very prominent throughout your radio station. And all you do is, when you finish doing that recording, so I've done a big 60-second link there, I would click stop. I can listen back to it, make sure it sounds okay. I can delete it if I'm unhappy. I can save it if I am happy with it. And I just take that voice recording and I pop it in here. These are just a couple of examples there. So, this is just a way where it's not just a playlist of back-to-back music. And it doesn't matter how good your curated playlist may be. It's just back-to-back music. There's no real difference between listening to that and going to Spotify or Apple Music to do the same. How do you make it more radio? You insert some form of connection and a relationship in between it. Even if it is just every 5 songs, it's you checking in saying, I hope you're enjoying the music. Next up, I'm playing this. And if you'd like more like this, visit our website, download our app, send us an email. You're just reminding people that there is a person that's actually put some thought into this, regardless of whether they're live or not. They don't necessarily know. They could think you are live. And it just makes it a much more impressive sort of engaging listen. There's actually someone who has put some thought into it. It's not just an algorithm. So it helps maintain the real spirit of radio without you having to worry about going live all the time. That's why I really like it. And I think some negative stigma around it is very, very unnecessary. So that's voice tracking. Use it as much as you like. It's a really, really great tool. And that's just a couple of different ways of building playlists, but it basically boils down to whatever you put on the right-hand side of the screen is your show. So I'm quite happy with this. I'm going to click Save, and I'm going to get it scheduled. And following suit, scheduling is also very simple. All you do is you click the time you want it to start, and you drag it to the time you want it to finish. So if I was to do a show today, let's say 12 p.m. till 2 p.m., I would click 12, and I would drag it down to 2, like so. Now, what this has done is this has created an event. It's kind of like you're booking something on a calendar, and you just need to clarify some of the details. So first of all, it starts at 12, it runs for 2 hours, and it therefore finishes at 2. Great, that's exactly what I wanted. At the moment, I'm just scheduling it for today, for Friday, but you can select multiple days of the week here, and it will then replicate that time, that booking, across all of those specified days. So not only am I having it 12 till 2 today, but maybe 12 till 2 tomorrow and Sunday, or thinking forward, maybe I want it every day. Select as many days as you want, and this will then just replicate this as schedule for you. Likewise, I might want this to repeat. So not only do I want it 12 till 2 every day, but every week. You would click in every week or every 2 weeks, once a month. The options are there. And then you just need to put in a random date within the next 2 years, and it will schedule it up until that point. So here I'm just going to go to, why not? It's random enough. The 16th of April, why not? Schedule it up until that point, every day, every week. Now, the final thing you do is here. What kind of event, what sort of show is this actually going to be? So is it a playlist, first of all? Is it that, that playlist you just made? If so, click Playlist. And from this drop-down menu here at the top, you just want to select what playlist that's going to be. So specifically, I want Phil's Christmas Show, that famous Christmas show that doesn't have any Christmas music in it. People will be disappointed or relieved. So here you've got Phil's Christmas Show playlist. Is going to play 12 till 2 every day of the week, every week until the middle of April. And if you're happy with all those decisions you've made, you click Create, give it a second or two. There we go. That's all been scheduled for you. So you can see 12 till 2, the playlist, specifically Phil's Christmas Show, is going to play 12 till 2 every day for the next 5 months or whatnot. And as I say, because this platform is all entirely cloud-based, as long as you turned your station on air, which mine obviously evidently is here, as long as you did that, this playlist will automatically fade in at 12, and it will automatically fade out at 2, because you've told it to do that. Your computer could be turned off, you could have no access to power or no internet. That doesn't matter. It's being powered by our server. So this will fade in at 12 and it will fade out at 2, just like that. So that's how easy it can be to do something that is completely automated. You just want to upload some music or content, build a playlist, and decide what time you want it to play. And as long as your station is turned on air, it'll do the rest. Now, if you want to do a live show, which you can do, obviously I mentioned, you can do your automated shows, your voice track shows, back-to-back music, or completely live. And the way you do that is, again, decide the times and the days and the weeks you want it on air, but instead you select Live DJ, like here. And from here, this is where you need to choose specifically who that host is going to be, because you can give people complete remote access to your station. Because, as I say, this platform is entirely cloud-based. So I am based in Manchester. I could host a live show on your station, as could someone on the complete opposite end of the world, someone down the road. All you need to do is just give them access, and as long as they have access to the internet, they can broadcast live and access your station from anywhere in the world. So here I'm going to click Live DJ, and specifically it's going to be me that's going to do the show here. I have accepted an invitation to be a user, and I can now be selected to be a user. So click Fill. So I have selected myself to be the host here, which means I am the only one who has the ability to go live. Even though people have remote access to the station, if they are not expected to go live, they can't. So there's no risk of people, for lack of a better word, hijacking the station, taking over it when they shouldn't. If I want to record the show, which can be a great way to repurpose content or make it available on demand, make the most of audiences that are really only residing within podcast platforms, let's record the show as well, like so. And then if you're happy with all those decisions, you click Update Event or Create Event, whichever option is there. I'm personally updating this event. It might just say Create for you. And now what you'll see is it looks slightly different. It now says 12 till 2, live DJ, specifically me, Phil. If anyone else tries to log in, they can't. Now, I've been harping on quite a bit about the fact that it's cloud-based, that your power and your internet connection doesn't really matter. It's being powered by us. And for the most part, yes, that is absolutely correct. However, when you are live, when you are establishing a live connection with your equipment and you want people to hear what you are saying right here, right now, that does rely on your internet connection and your power. The software needs to know where your live audio is coming from. However, if any of that is lost, if there's any disconnections, whether that is due to power cuts midway during your show, or maybe you were unable to connect at all, maybe you had some technical issues before your show started, or you were late starting the show, or a DJ was late starting the show and you weren't aware, there is always going to be a backup playlist. In fact, it won't let you schedule a live show without a backup playlist. And this, in this example, is Phil's Christmas show. Basically, whatever playlist is selected here, when you've chosen the live DJ option, will be your backup playlist. So each DJ could have their own, perhaps. That's a way to think about it. And you can see here, confirmation, recording has been enabled. So I know when this show finishes, I'll have an MP3 file to show for it. The other option there is, just very, very briefly, live relay. That is the ability to schedule a stream from another online radio station simultaneously on yours. So let's just say, as an example, a close friend of mine was also doing a Christmas radio show, but maybe he had a great host that I wasn't able to get, or he's doing a big event, and I would like to broadcast my friend's radio station, or show specifically, on my station as well. The way I do that is through live relays. Basically, you will choose an online link that you've submitted to Radio.co that you are allowed to use, always seek permission. And basically, whatever is playing on that station at that time is also simultaneously broadcasting on yours. So let's just say I've got, Howard Stern. Maybe Howard Stern, we're good, close friends. He's like, hey, Phil, yeah, you can, that's a terrible impression. I'm going to stop right now. Let's just say, he's like, yeah, you can broadcast my show. Why not? So what I'm doing is I've got a link to his show. I'm now going to schedule it, like so. And what this will mean is from 12 till 2, whatever is currently playing on this relay on Howard Stern's show is simultaneously broadcasting on mine. So whatever show he has 12 till 2 just so happens to be broadcasting on my station as well. However, we have an added bonus. If Howard Stern ever has any technical difficulties, or again, he's late starting the show, we still have a backup playlist. So his audience may completely drop out for any reason due to his faults, whereas ours won't. If that show drops, the backup playlist will kick in and recover. And that's really everything to do with programming. I know there's a lot I've covered there over 25 minutes or so, but it is really just coming down to clicking and dragging, deciding if it's a playlist. If it's going to be a playlist, just source your MP3 files. There are different ways you can get them from. I can share some information in a moment. Build your playlists, decide when it's going to play. And you could schedule the same playlist to play every single day for the next 2 years. And once today's show finishes, you can update the playlist, and as long as you click save, tomorrow is still ready to go, and it's now going to play the updated version of it. So there's so many different ways to really speed up the process of programming. And if it's going to be a live show or a live relay, all you need to do is just decide who's going to be hosting the show, or what stream is going to be hosting the show, and what time it's going to do. And as long as that goes ahead, as long as your DJs log in when they're supposed to, and they establish connections, that's it. That show will be broadcast. So, as I say, that's everything to do with programming. If you want a recap of any of this, don't worry, you can, of course, rewatch this video at any time you like. Or on our website, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, we have a link to what we call our Radio.co University. And that has breakdown videos of every little aspect of our platform. So there's a specific video about uploading media, building shows, relays even. So head there for specific breakdowns of those. But the last thing I wanted to cover here is probably the most important. How do people listen to this radio station? So, of course, it is an internet radio station. It can only be accessed via means to the internet. So the most basic way people can listen is through this. It's called a listen link, a streaming URL. Think of it like your own personal frequency on a traditional FM radio station. This link is specifically for your station, and as long as it's turned on air, anyone who clicks on that, it just opens up a browser tab on their computer or their smartphone, and it streams your station. It's not the most attractive way of people listening. This link specifically cannot be customized. And when people click on it, when you do share it on social media or in an email perhaps, when they do click on it, it just opens up a black browser tab. So there's nothing to look at other than a little play button. But despite that, it's still a very, very easy way of people listening. We also have directories, so you can submit your listen link to a number of directories. They are just places on the internet that people go to specifically to listen to internet radio. If you have your own website, whether that's now or you want to create one in the future, which can be a very beneficial thing to do, you can have a web player. And this is where you're directing people to your personal website with your personal branded domain name. And on your website, they see the ability to listen to your radio station complete with artwork, whether that is the artwork for the track that's playing, artwork for your station, it's the logo for your station perhaps, a bit of track and show information here, and all you do is you just press play and it starts streaming your station. There's no coding needed. All you do is when you create this, when you click on the add player, it asks you, what shape and size do you want it, and you just copy and paste the code that's generated for you, paste it onto your website, and hey presto, it's on your website for people to listen to. Again, as long as your station is on air, it will work. And then expanding on that, we can also increase the efficiency of people listening, the accessibility of it, through a series of add-ons. So you can have your very own Alexa smart speaker command. So if I was hosting, Phil's Christmas Radio, I can say, Alexa, play Phil's Christmas Radio, and it will. It's just a case of, this is an official command. You decide the pronunciation, the description of it, what it's called, and that's available on the stores. Likewise, we can build you a mobile app. This is a fully branded mobile app specifically for your station. It has no Radio.co branding on it. No other station is on there. It's purely yours for both Android and iOS. And this really, really increases the efficiency of people listening. It makes it arguably a lot more accessible for the majority amount of people who could be listening. And regardless of how then people do listen, it all comes back to your statistics. So from here, you'll be able to see, how many people have been listening, where are they based in the world, what's the most popular countries that are available, because of course it's global, it's internet. So where are people based, what web browsers are people using, what devices are the most popular, what's the average length of time people are listening, even who's listening right now. So I click on real time and I can see a bit of information about who's listening right now here. So down to what devices are being used and when they actually connected. Probably the most sort of helpful information here is in the historical information here. There will be the option for you to see roughly on average what's the most popular time of day for people listening. So perfect for if you want to have ads playing specifically during those times. That's giving you an indication of when people are finding your station the most, and it could be that people in a completely different time zone are finding your station more than your intended one, so why not then appeal your station to there. There is more I could cover here on the platform, but I'm going to leave that for you to discover. There are ways that you can do your settings, so you can change the sound quality of your station, improve it. There are ways you can set advanced rules to ensure that shuffling of tracks is more fair. To invite users to your account, you just come to the user section and decide what roles you want them to have. And probably one of the most important things here is reports. I'm going to explain that in a bit more detail based on a question that's been asked. But the report section is here for all of your admin and licensing needs. But essentially there we go. I know it's, again, I've taught at quite length about the actual software, and there may be a lot to get your head around, but it's honestly a very, very intuitive, user-friendly platform. To at least get started with your radio station, it really doesn't take that lot. You can just upload an MP3 file, turn your station on air, and thanks to that default playlist, you then instantly have a 24-hour radio stream, which you can have something playing whilst you build out your playlist a bit more, get more DJs involved. People sort of criticize when I say things like, you can get started in literally minutes, and you can get started. Fair enough, you might not have a radio station worthy of people listening to in minutes, and you may want to get licensing in place or build your website or build your apps. Those things do take time. But if you want to at least get the ball rolling, it is just a case of uploading some media tracks, building a playlist, turn your station on air, and you at least have something rolling to then begin expanding and gradually getting your audience listening to your dream radio station. So there we go. So that's roughly the kind of experience you will get when attending a one-to-one demo with me, where we'll go into sometimes a bit more depth, sometimes a little less depth, just some details about how to actually use the Radio.co platform to at least get started. And if you'd like to book, as I say, a personal one-to-one conversation with me, you can by going to radio.co/demo. And even if you have watched that demonstration before, or you just watched it for the first time, it's still very much worth booking in a conversation, because we don't have to spend that 30-minute appointment talking about the platform. If you're confident using it, great. Use that time to ask any other questions or concerns, or maybe you've got an idea for a radio station and you don't know how best to bring it to life or how best to market it when it's ready to go. Perfect opportunity to ask is to book a conversation with me where we can go through all the details about your radio station. Anything I can do to help get you on air efficiently, quickly, and successfully. Again, I am just a call away. But yeah, if you would rather send me an email beforehand, studio@radio.co is where you can get me. Now, as I said, prior to the recording of this demo, just to remind you, this is not a live demonstration. This has been pre-recorded. I did ask for a number of questions to be submitted beforehand. So I've picked out some of the best ones, some of the ones that will help further explain not only how our platform works, but just trends in broadcasting internet radio in general. So the first question comes from Nick Singh, and his radio station is Italo Disco Radio Station. And he has asked, can you have more info for listener locations? It's a good question, actually, and I mean, they're all good questions, obviously. So this basically boils down to sometimes what sort of information the user's end is permitted to give. So you're seeing, if you cast your minds back to my demonstration I did just a few moments ago, I was able to very briefly show you a very specific town that my listener was connected to at that time, and even what radio directory is being used for that. And that's mainly because the IP address, the connection for that listener, was allowing me to see that information. A lot of us have maybe VPNs, or we have a lot more cybersecurity on our computer, so there's only so much information a computer will give to us if there's settings or no settings in place there. What we will do in that real-time stats, that's the one where you do have the opportunity to get more information. So that listener, as we were able to see their specific town, the specific directory they were using. You could find people are listening and it will just say United States or Nigeria or something like that. If their computer is giving us, or their device is giving us more information, it may say specifically what town, what city they're in. But a lot of the time, particularly in the general overview of the statistics, like it will just show you countries, or it won't show you specifically whether people are listening from a certain state or a certain town. I said the real-time stats is the chance where you will get that, but it is very, very just subject to whatever sort of settings, privacy the user end is giving us. Question from Brenda McRae from Boss Waves Radio, and she just wants to know about licensing the station. Licensing is one of the most popular things we get asked about. Generally, it isn't something that we offer as part of the service. So if you feel that it is necessary for your station, I would absolutely just hugely recommend you go and sourcing out. It's better to be legally sound for your radio station, so you know you are broadcasting absolutely correctly and fairly, of course, to those artists that you're playing the music of. I guess one of the reasons why we don't provide licensing at the moment is because not every radio station requires it. So if you are a talk-based radio station, you don't need a license. If you're playing only your own original written owned content, you don't need a license. If you're playing royalty-free music on air, you don't need a license. It's literally just for the broadcasting of copyrighted material. My advice is, if you are unsure whether the music you are playing is copyrighted, license your station anyway. It's better than getting a surprise sting on the bottom from someone who's demanding money or a fine from you. But generally, how, as a general overview of licensing is, you will want to be licensed by an organisation that is based in the country you are broadcasting from. So I'm from the UK, I would get a license with PRS or PPL, something like that. And each organization all around the world has different regulations, different costs involved, different processes of applying for it. So as an example, in the US, there's an organization called BMI. And BMI, as of this year, actually streamlined the process of applying for a digital broadcasting license. They charge a flat fee of about $350. And as long as the regulations they have set and the rules and the agreements you are adhering to cover you for what your station needs, that could just be the only fee you need to pay and the only license you need. However, due to the types of music you might want to play or the territories you want to broadcast at, so if you want to have a license in the US and Canada, for example, you will need to get a license from a US organization and a Canadian organization, or SOCAN is the Canadian body. So it's often a kind of a bespoke service you need. So I can't really tell you what organization you may need, so I could suggest one, and you know, depending on what it is you want to do, you actually need a license from multiple or a completely different one. It's a bit easier in things like the UK. There is only one organization, or Canada's only one. Australia, I think there's only one. The US is a bit more complicated because there is 4 organizations you can approach, and they all kind of are competing for your business, offering certain things. So what I would say is we have information on our website and our help center about licensing. If you have any specific questions, again, studio@radio.co, you can email them to me and I'll try and help as much as I can. Licensing is something that you would need to go and source and kind of research yourself, check, you know, do your due diligence basically. But any specific questions about it, you know, ask us and we'll at least point you in the right direction. I got an email from Mark Davis from Mean Monkey Radio, and he wants to know, why are radio stations doing things on YouTube? Is video where radio is going? It's a great question, Mark. So it is kind. I mean, any sort of medium, whether it's audio, video, there are trends in place, and they do often sort of benefit the medium that they're trying to assist. And video is definitely helping push radio in the right direction. I mean, video has been involved in radio for decades. You know, there are cases where, 10, 15 years ago, probably even longer, you had webcams set up in some, in things like BBC Radio 1 in the UK. And fair enough, you weren't getting any sound, but you could see the DJs doing their show. You could listen to the radio and you can see them, at least through a grainy camera, but you can see them talking to their guests. So video has kind of been a further experiment, further addition to radio. Now, however, people are using video to actually do their shows from. So podcasts, although they are really traditionally, an audio platform, people are doing podcasts, videos on YouTube because maybe they want to present their topics of conversation in a bit more visual aid. They want to, they want to show who's talking about it. They maybe have videos and slides to go along with it, so they choose video as the preference form to do that in. Or again, they're using video to promote their radio station or their podcast, whether that is they are creating bits of exclusive video-based content, or they're helping promote their station through YouTube by maybe taking a 60-second clip of a show. They've got video to go alongside it because it was filmed, and they post that out. It's definitely, it's not where radio should be concentrated on. So if you're looking to launch a radio station, my general advice is, yeah, sure, broadcast it video as well, but it shouldn't be a focus. The focus should be that audio experience. It's what radio is. It's what people are expecting. But definitely use video to help promote and market your radio station. Use it as an alternative way of getting people involved in your station. So, there may be people who could absolutely love your radio station, but they are purely engaged in the entertainment they find on YouTube. How do you appeal to those people on YouTube? You create video streams of your radio station to hook them in, similar to podcasting, hook them in from those platforms. So yeah, we don't have a video streaming tool on our platform. We are just exclusively audio based, but that's not to say you can use video. We have plenty of people using even free platforms like OBS, Restream, StreamYard. People use Twitch and things like that. And you can use those platforms to take the audio from your Radio.co station and mix it with a video feed that you are creating. And it will then create this mix that people can go to, the likes of YouTube or Twitch even, to listen to your radio station. I would say, though, if you are broadcasting copyrighted material, be wary of broadcasting video content on places like YouTube and Facebook Live, because due to the copyrighted material you are playing, chances are it may get flagged up by copyright detection bots, algorithms, and your stream could be cut, mute, you could be reported, you never know, banned even. So I'd say if you're going to be broadcasting video content, I would purely just keep it for broadcasting conversations, talk-based stations, interviews. Stick to just audio for your copyrighted music, or use something like Mixcloud Live for people listening to the music that you're playing. The biggest strength video can provide, as I say, is the marketing element. So using platforms like TikTok or Instagram to promote your station, giving a visual aid to your radio station. And it really doesn't have to be you are doing a live 1 hour stream on Instagram. You just need to just pick up your camera, the phone, do a 10-second video talking about what you're going to play in your station, where people can find it, and how you want people to get involved. You're just teasing people. You're saying, hey, I'm going to play this great music. If you want to join me, click the link in the description on my profile, and you can listen to the station there. That's the best way video can aid you, is using it to give a literal illustration to your otherwise non-visual entertainment. So use video for all your promoting and marketing efforts. That's the best way, and it's not going to take a lot of time to do. 10-second video here and there will absolutely do the trick. So yes, Mark, video is very much a firm part of radio these days, for the better, I think, as much as we might begrudge that notion. A question from Sophie Niso. She's not got a station yet. But she says, do people still listen to radio? Are podcasts better? Again, these are all really great questions. And I wouldn't be in the radio industry if people still weren't listening to radio, internet radio specifically. So we have reports in the UK called the Radar reports. They're every quarter. There's also, in the US, like the Nielsen reports and things. And they give a gauge on how people are absorbing media, or Radar specifically gives a report on how radio is consumed quarter on quarter, and it shows you, over the last 6 months, this is how listening trends have changed. Or it does list like this is the most popular station for the north of England or Wales and things like that. It just does break that down, but it also lists things like how many people say they listen to radio from a smart speaker, or how many people are listening to it in their cars. And what one thing has shown in particular over the last 5-10 years maybe is that internet radio is just on a steady growth year on year, quarter on quarter. Unlike FM radio, which is kind of plateaued, it's not really going anywhere, but it's not growing anymore because FM, AM radio is expensive to run. If you want to launch an FM radio station, it's not like you can just go to a website and do it. You have to apply for licenses, get transmitters, pay tens of thousands of dollars every month for the upkeep. So because of that, FM radio, if you have an FM station, you keep doing it because it's hugely beneficial, but it's not like new FM stations being launched. A lot of FM stations are kind of turning to internet radio, because again, they're not necessarily abandoning terrestrial radio. They're just using the benefits of online radio by allowing their radio station to be available on mobile phones or global on websites. They're offering their traditional radio in just different forms to get new audiences. And yeah, radio is just not showing any signs of slowing down in general. The important thing about radio, and this is why I love working in the industry, I mean, I studied radio in university, but the reason why I love radio so much compared to like TV or even podcasting, still audio based, is that people know what service, what purpose radio provides. And because radio has existed for like 100 years or so, people know what radio is. If you said I'm launching a podcast to someone, and they may say, "Oh, what's a podcast?" If you said I'm launching a radio, people know what radio is all about. It's the fundamentals, the essentials, the reasons why radio exists. It's not just a means of someone playing music or just for you to listen to someone talking about something. The purpose of radio is to establish a connection. It's to provide conversation. It's to provide interaction, a relationship, to provide company. Scott Mills said it best when he left Radio 1, a couple of years ago. he said in a very emotional kind of final speech, of basically just say, if you are ever feeling alone, turn on the radio. There's always someone there. It's the only medium where the person behind the microphone, the one that's talking to you, is asking you, how you doing? Please get in touch. I'd love to know what you're up to. Even if you're just driving on the motorway off to, spend the day somewhere, that they want to hear from you. It's not like you're doing a news broadcast and the person doing the news is asking you how you're doing, or you're watching a drama and they break away just to break the fourth wall and ask, how are you doing? Is everything all right? Are you feeling okay? Feeling any better? How's the family? Radio is a personal connection, and the best radio hosts, are addressing you as one person. They make you feel like you are the only one listening, because in that moment, you are the only one that matters. Podcasts are like, hey guys, thanks for listening. Oh, it'd be great to see you all. You don't really feel accepted. You're part of a plural. Whereas radio, it is just, I'm playing your favorite music. How are you doing? This is your station. It's establishing you that you're making you feel like you are the only one that matters, and you are keeping abreast of the latest news, what's going on. You're playing, you're just having a good time listening and feeling part of something. Radio is an intimate connection between two people. One person who is providing an escape, a bit of entertainment, and it's that. That's why I love it, and that's why. It's kind of gone a bit off topic there, Sophie, but yeah, it's basically, people do still listen to radio, and they will continue listening to it because it means so much to so many people and has done for so long. Very nerdy response, do apologise. Apologies for absolutely butchering this name. Jose Narinji. Apologies, Jose. Again, no station yet, but you want to know what are the most popular ways that people are listening to radio these days. I get kind of nicely following on from the previous answer about the radar reports, things like that tell us, the trends of how people are listening. And the most, I guess, sort of encouraging stat really is for both the US and the UK for at least the last year or two, is that smart speakers are now becoming the most popular way of people listening to internet radio, because it's almost replaced that old traditional radio, that wireless that used to sit in your room. You turn it on in the morning and you just listen to it all throughout the day. It's keeping you company, and that's kind of what smart speakers are doing. They're doing that job now. They're just something that is just turned on, and you're just listening to it for as long as you want to, until someone comes and turns it off. And because you're not having to lift a single finger, it's just playing all day every day without you really paying any attention. And yeah, in both the US and the UK, and I think Australia as well, over 50% of adults that are listening to internet radio are listening through smart speakers. It's big business. And if you were to build a smart speaker capability through Radio.co, which you can do, it's very cheap. It's about $10 a month, or £8. It's $100 if you pay for it a year up front, just to have what's statistically proved to be the most efficient way of people listening to radio. So that's the most popular way, I guess, people are listening, but also mobile phones. Having a mobile app specifically for your radio station can really, really help, because when you're marketing your station, when you're promoting it on social media, for example, people are on their phones already when they're finding out about your station. So if you're telling them that, you actually have an app I can download, I'm on my phone already, I'm more likely to then follow that command and download the app for your station, because I found your station on my phone to begin with. So yeah, it just increases the efficiency. People can listen to it on the go. So yeah, it is an added expense to have a mobile app for your station, but it will absolutely just categorically improve how efficiently your station is becoming and how accessible it now is. So yeah, mobile phones, smart speakers, cars, of course, are popular. So there are cars now that can access, internet radio directories, for example. But mobile phones and smart speakers for internet radio specifically. Keith from Pigpen Radio 100 says, I don't have much of an income, so I just use social media for my station. How else can I get listeners? It's, again, $1 million question. How can I grow my audience? And it doesn't matter how much kind of guidance and advice I give. There is no surefire guaranteed way. If you do this, you will get listeners. But there are things that you can work towards. I'm not going to go into too much detail now with this question, Keith, because I have done webinars and videos about this before. So I will. I've got your contact details, so I'll send you a direct link to these. But ultimately, it's kind of three things you want to do with promoting your station and working towards these. So you want to make your station as widely available as possible. So that is using things like making your station available on your own website, perhaps, or using social media as you are doing, but not just one platform, maybe using every social media you can get your hands on, having your station available on internet radio directories, basically plastering your station everywhere you go, making it as available on as many different platforms as possible. You also want to make it as accessible as possible. So going back to what I mentioned before, if you happen to have a mobile app for your radio station, you've made it instantly more accessible to people from their mobile phones. Having smart speaker capabilities. Again, you're on directories. People are finding your station on directories they use already, or maybe you've turned part of your radio show into an on-demand podcast. Again, you're making it as accessible for people who use those platforms already, or YouTube even. But despite that, you don't want to give yourself too much work. So you can also, want to make sure you are making it as simple as possible to signpost people to. So you could list your station on 30 different radio directories, but you don't need to list all 30 locations where people can find your station. That is absolutely overkill. So what you want to do is you want to create nice and sleek call to actions, we call them CTAs. So you want to tell people, basically, hey, if you like what you're listening to, why don't you find us at our website, follow us on Facebook, find us on Radio Garden, that's a directory, or download our app. You just want to give very apt, very simple instructions of a few places people can find your station, and they will then gradually begin to find it. As I say, plugging away at social media is a really good thing to do, Keith. So even though you think, it's the only thing you do, the fact you are doing it is good. Social media is free to run. It's easy to manage. You just need to be consistent with it, Keith. That's my main kind of guidance with it, really, is that if you can't just expect to grow an audience if you are only posting on Facebook once a week or maybe once a day. You just need to be consistent with it. So if you are making a post once a day, make sure it is once a day, every day. People are going to be expecting it. And you want to use content that allows people to get engaged, or the most important thing, allowing them to share their opinions on stuff. So if you are a music-based radio station and you're saying, you're going to play, I don't know, an example, a Led Zeppelin track, and you put a picture of a single cover artwork or an album, and you said, this is my favourite Led Zeppelin album, what's yours? That instantly gives people going, I hate that album, or I love that album. You're inviting people to give their opinions on something, and there's nothing people love more than just voicing their own things. Some of them might be like word vomit, I'm just going to talk so much about their strong beliefs about a particular album or a particular debate that's maybe some political news or tech news. It doesn't have to be music based. Just make posts that are very quick to read. Just, this is what I think, what about you? Use pictures, again, artwork for things. Here's a picture of a celebrity, what do you think of them? Or this political figure. You want to make the posts you make quick to read, so when people are scrolling, it's instant. There's a picture there, there's one sentence, and it makes people go, I'm going to interact with that. So post frequently on social media and use very simple posts that invite people to, at the very least, contribute to it, comment on it, or maybe even share it. Can you believe this guy thinks this album is the best one? If people are sharing your content or commenting on it, they are increasing the online visibility of your radio station, which allows more people who never knew your station existed for them to see it and potentially get involved as well. So don't downplay the fact you're using social media. It is paramount for improving your station. And as I say, I've got more in-depth tips and guidance on kind of growing audiences. So again, I'll ask Rowan to put a guide to those videos in the description for this video, but Keith as well, I'll find your details and I'll send that over to you as well. And if anyone else wants those tips directly, again, studio@radio.co is the way to email me. I've just noticed time is getting on, so I'll try and rattle through some more of these, last couple. Gloria Bolden from TGCN Radio has asked, can I be trained on how to be a DJ and take live calls? Yes, you can, Gloria. So, I've gone on about it before, but we have like an abundance of really helpful, in-depth guides and tutorials about a large array of things, like how to broadcast live, or despite us, we don't have specifically a live caller feature, but that's not to say that we can't help you understand how you can do it yourself. So our founder, James Mulvaney, did a video a few years ago outlining a couple of different ways that you can easily take calls, whether it's using a piece of equipment like what we've got here, or just using I think he calls it the down and dirty way, just holding a phone up to a microphone. It doesn't sound great, but it's an easy way that requires no other equipment to do. There are ways to take calls. I use the Rodecaster Pro 2 specifically, so the bigger version of this, and that has Bluetooth built into it. So if I was to ever take calls on my station or get a guest on air, I know I have the ability to do it very easily because I have the luxury of having that feature built into my piece of equipment. I'm not saying you need to immediately go out and buy a $600 piece of equipment, but there are certain ways that you can make that task a lot easier for you. But with training specifically, so we actually launched our Radio.co Audio University, which is our kind of private consultation training incentive. So the way that works is you can pay for a 60-minute consultation. Prices start from about $50 or $69. We are running promotions at the moment, so if you are interested, again, studio@radio.co, and I can give more details for you. But from roughly about $50 or so for an hour, it's a personal conversation between me or one of my other colleagues, and not too dissimilar from a demo. This is a way where we can go through anything that you may want some guidance on. So if you specifically would like to spend an hour, Gloria, talking about how can I learn to be a DJ, that's exactly what we can cover. We can spend an entire hour talking about different bits of software, different practices, even just generally how to become a DJ, how to be a better, more confident presenter. I've been a presenter and producer of radio for well over a decade. Some of my other colleagues have been DJs, radio engineers. So we have a huge amount of knowledge and experience in so many different fields of radio. So the idea behind our training, our consultations, is what do you want to know? What do you want to learn? Great. Give me a day or two and I will create a full 60-minute sort of syllabus module for us to go through, and we will spend 60 minutes going through all of that so that you will leave the call knowing, yeah, I know exactly how to be a better DJ, or I now want to go and record my podcast now that I've discussed the idea I have and how best to do it. So we've done a few of these already. We've done lots of private training so far, and I touched on it just then, but if you've got an idea for a radio station or a podcast and you've only really got the idea, you don't quite know how best to maybe market it or what your episode should be about, how to start managing it, we can take even the smallest, vaguest idea you have for a radio show or a podcast, and you can leave that appointment knowing, great, I'm going to go and record my first episode, and now I know exactly what I'm going to do it about. So yes, so Brent, so Gloria, I would strongly recommend getting in touch, having a look through our training, our consultations, and from about sort of $50, $70 for an hour, we can absolutely sort of go through all of that for you and help you become a better DJ. And that goes to everyone as well. So again, studio@radio.co is the best way to get more information and get the right direction that you need. Deirdre Patterson from All Talking FM. What is the best equipment I can use for upgrading my radio station? I always say make a good investment on a future-proofed piece of equipment. So if you are going to look to buy a new microphone, get a good quality one. I use this every day, a Shure SM7B. Sure, it cost me $300-$400 maybe, but I know it's the right microphone for me, and I don't need to buy another one. That's my microphone for life, essentially. And it's a very reliable, very robust industry standard microphone. So I spent a lot of money on that, but I've had that for a few years, and I never need to buy another one. Likewise, I bought myself a Rodecaster Pro 2. Very expensive, but it's so future-proofed. You've got so many features on it, I have absolutely no need to ever use. But I know if there was ever an opportunity to use them, I have them. It's got tons of presets, buttons I can fire off and do a sound effect like, I don't think is that actually turned on? Oh, no, I don't think it's turned on. No, smart pads, there we go. So like that, if I wanted to just fire off an air horn for no reason, or another soundbite of someone saying "ew" for no reason, I can do. I've not really used them about my radio show, but I know that they're there to fire off jingles or ads or sound effects like that. So yeah, it's all about I would say just make a worthy investment, and it can all pile up and things, but I'd say if you really want to ensure that you never need to buy another piece of equipment again, just going a bit bigger on it. You're getting a really good, reliable industry standard microphone or mixing desk. And if you want to learn how any of these equipments work, or if you just want a bit of a general overview on the sorts of different equipment you can just have, we've done tons of videos, webinars going through definitions of different pieces of equipment and helping you find out the best one for you. And we've done a lot of reviews over the years as well, a lot of reviews. So again, just ask us a particular set that you may want, and we've got a few favorites like these, for example. And the last question is from Andrew Rigsby from YOO Media Radio. Well, that could be you, Media Radio, I'm not too sure. What is the difference between virtual DJ, radio DJ, and what Radio.co offers? Again, a really, really good question, and this will be my final one. They're basically kind of different forms of platforms, so sometimes it can be a bit cumbersome to... you're hearing a lot of different words as things like playout systems, DJ software, radio hosting platforms, and it can get a bit muddled. What on earth are all these things? Basically, things like a virtual DJ, we'd probably class as a DJ interface. That is just basically replicates a digital way of what DJs might be using for DJ decks. So virtual DJ in particular is free to use, but there are paid versions of it, which arguably make it a lot easier. I've done a video of how to use virtual DJ for free with a Rodecaster Pro desk, and that allows you basically to drag tracks onto it. And you can play your tracks from that piece of software, and you can make your mixing desk do it so you can talk after each one, in and out and things. But it's basically a digital implementation of a set of DJ decks that a DJ might use. But it could also potentially be classed as a playout system, and that's kind of what Radio DJ is, I believe. And there's other ones, Playout One. There's an abundance of them. And what playout systems are it's basically you are using that piece of software to pretty much use it to broadcast your content. So a lot of people might want to use DJ software or playout systems specifically for broadcasting live. In fact, it's probably what we would recommend using those software for, is that your live shows are going through Radio.co, so people are listening to it through the means of Radio.co, but you are managing it exclusively through this platform that is arguably giving you more control over exactly what you want to say and do on your live radio show. Particularly if you haven't got the luxury of having a mixing desk like this, you may just want to use purely that playout system to manage your live show, so firing up hotkeys and lining up your tracks and firing off your ad breaks and things. And ideally, you would use that platform. You would look at that platform only when you're doing your live shows. You wouldn't need to look at Radio.co at all. Radio.co is simply just broadcasting out whatever you're doing on that piece of kit. So that's what a playout system is, and we hope to develop our own playout system. Encoders, things like BUT is typically what we'd use for people when they just want to broadcast live with a piece of equipment in a very simple way. That's a playout system in a way. It's really just a very, very basic version that just does one job, which is sending out your feed online. And so if you want to broadcast live, you will need to use at very least an encoder. And then finally, what Radio.co is we are a hosting and streaming provider. So you may very well have a playout system or a DJ interface, but if it's not connected to any form of server, people can't hear it. You're literally just broadcasting to yourself. So you would use a platform like Radio.co to actually give you a place on the internet so people have a means of listening to your radio station. All your content and your shows are hosted on our platform and also simultaneously streaming from our platform. So as soon as you turn your station on air, as I say, you have a very specific location on the internet that people are using. So really, those three examples of a software I've mentioned, you'd basically all use all of them in conjunction with each other, and you have, very slick, very professional radio station. And there we have it. That comes to the end of this, webinar, I guess, this live demonstration. I hope that's kind of giving you a really, really good idea on how easy, launching your own radio station through Radio.co can be. I know a lot of those answers I've given with those questions make radio maybe seem a bit more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts, and there is really, there are things of licensing or trying to find out what's the best kind of equipment you might want to use or effective ways of marketing your station. So yeah, it will take a little while to actually get your radio station fully off the ground. There's so many moving parts. You want to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row. But to at least get started, I would always recommend, heading to our website, radio.co/pricing. There's a free trial on there. And at the very least, just see if a platform like Radio.co is something you can very comfortably use. And as I say, in just mere minutes, you can at least have a stream up and running, which you can then spend while that's playing, finding out, these sorts of equipment you may want to use, getting used to using that. Planting the seeds for marketing your station, creating Facebook pages, a YouTube channel, a podcast even. And if you have any questions at all about launching your own radio station through us, or if you just have general questions about radio, internet broadcasting in general, like equipment, licensing, anything like that, I am only just an email away. You can send me an email, once again, studio@radio.co, or even book a demo. It's honestly the best way to learn more firsthand about any concerns, queries you may have, and learn a little something along the way. So please go to radio.co/demo to book in, a 30-minute conversation with me. It's completely free, and it's just going to cost you, 30 minutes to get everything you might need to know about radio. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining me once again. All the best. Happy broadcasting, and I guess in line of this being the end of the year, have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you with more hints, tips, and maybe hips as well in 2025. Take care. Thank you very much.
Are you looking for a podcast or radio show to appear on? Are you struggling to find a guest for your podcast or radio show? Let me introduce you to Matchmaker.fm. Simply create a profile, narrow your niche, and use the inbuilt messenger to contact potential partners. And the best part, it's free to sign up. So, let's find your match.